Hey everyone, this is Jack, the Obsessed Movie Man, and I don't have this scripted. I probably should, but I'm lazy at the moment, so here we go. I'm going to give my top five favorite films of the year list. I didn't see a whole lot. I haven't seen Barbie yet. I haven't seen The Holdovers. I haven't seen Wonka, and there are a few others that I haven't seen. But I did from what I did see. I actually liked a lot of what came out this year. Well, let me rephrase. There were a lot of pleasant surprises, and yeah, let's get started, shall we? So let's see where this list takes us. It's not top 10 because again, I didn't see a whole lot, but what I did see, I really enjoyed. So let's get started. Here from 5 to 1. Here are my top five favorite films of the year. Number five is Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. So there was, like with Barbie, there was a lot of buzz about Oppenheimer because these were coming out the same day, and that created the whole Barbenheimer craze, which I didn't particularly, wasn't really interested in. I was, let me rephrase. I was tempted to doing a double feature, which was what brought up this big resurgence in going to the movie theaters, which I'm all for. But I didn't particularly, I didn't see the need to see them back to back. It would have been fun, but anyway, that's not the point of the movie. This might be, aside from obviously like The Dark Knight, Inception, and maybe The Prestige. I haven't seen Memento. This might be at least in the top three of Christopher Nolan's best films. There are problems with the films. I did rewatch some moments of it. Like I am a little tired of Christopher Nolan doing that thing where he does with the narrative storytelling, where he goes at one point in the story, then another point in the story. That's starting to get. I'm not gonna say a shtick. Maybe I would say it's a shtick. But the other things about this movie, I really like a lot of the music. I forgot the man who did the music, but he composed the hell out of this thing, man. I really like the music for this. I kind of want to get the soundtrack for at least one of the tracks. The casting, I love. This is a big ensemble piece. Like the guy who plays Bernard from the Santa Claus is in this. Dane DeHaan. When I was watching the movie, I was like, "Is that Dane DeHaan? Is that Josh Peck?" So there was a lot of like, they're not necessarily like cameos, but like surprise people, surprise actors and actresses that show up that I wasn't expecting. Robert Downey Jr. I found out he did get the Golden Globe, and I kind of was calling it. Well, at least for the Oscars, I was calling it. But I'm glad he got the Best Supporting Actor award. I'm glad that Cillian Murphy got some recognition and got the Best Actor award. And I think it was those two that really stood out to me in my review. Robert Downey Jr. as Strauss, and Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer. So the casting, all the actors did a fantastic job. I thought the music was great. The directing, as always, from Christopher Nolan was great. And just the visual experience of seeing this monstrous event in his. I don't know if you call it monstrous or just awe-inducing event in history. Seeing that unfold on a big screen. I should have seen this in IMAX. A lot of Christopher Nolan's films really should be seen in IMAX. But this was a great film. Not the best film. I know a lot of people were saying it was one of the best films, like that and Barbie. But no, I thought I did see some better ones, or ones that I enjoyed more. And I don't think it's my place to say what's better or what's worse. So, because all film is subjective, obviously. So, number five, Oppenheimer. Number four is my personal favorite animated film of the year, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, a lot of people were saying The Boy and the Heron should be the best animated film of the year, and it maybe, I don't know. I haven't seen that, so I can't judge, and I do intend to see it. I am very behind. Actually, I'll disclose I have not seen a lot of Miyazaki or Studio Ghibli, however you pronounce it, films. I've seen one or two, and I'm very ashamed of that. I hope to rectify that soon, especially with Fathom Events re-releasing, I believe, in February. A lot of the studio, I'm gonna say Ghibli films. I think it's in February. I hope I didn't miss it. Maybe it's January. But anyway, The Boy and the Heron, I still need to see. But let's talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is, if you have seen Into the Spider-Verse, you already know how spectacular the animation is for this film. This takes that and I believe ups it even more. There are things in this film that I've never seen on an animated film. The moment I normally go to is just the smooth transition as the camera follows Gwen Stacy as she walks casually upside down over like the gargoyle or the ledge or whatever you want to call it, and Miles joins her to sit down and talk. That blew my mind, just how flawlessly the camera follows. And I'm sure that's pretty simplistic in today's standards, but I haven't personally seen anything like that in an animated film. Anyone could do cameos for a film. Marvel has made a knack of that. Alfred Hitchcock has made a knack for cameos, but the amount of detail in putting all these spider people in the film and giving a lot of them moments, like characters, even if they're big or small, you have certain ones have moments that stand out. The one that comes to my mind is when they have the Spider-Man from my childhood, Spectacular Spider-Man. He has a few moments in the film where you, not only do you spot him doing something, but he has a line. So the attention to detail with both like the things in the background or the characters, even if they're big or small, they have almost all of them have moments in the film. Well, not all the spider people, but you kind of know what I mean. The villain is like in the film someone who I underestimate, like how the characters underestimate the villain. I underestimated the use of the spot. And can we also appreciate? I know I'm not the first person to bring this up, but can we appreciate how the bagel is now between this and everything everywhere all at once? The bagel is now unofficially or officially the mascot of the multiverse. Speaking of the multiverse, this handles the multiverse. This is a Marvel film that handles the concept of the multiverse better than any of these Marvel films have been doing so far. And that's kind of depressing, especially with their whole phase, whatever phase we're on at this point, is just delving into the multiverse. But I like the family dynamic. Miles has really grown on me. I wasn't the biggest fan of Miles Morales in the comics, but this film has totally changed my mind on Miles Morales. Gwen Stacy's a great character. Miguel O'Hara is a great character. Peter B. Parker. They're all. I also. I think the person who stole the show, in my opinion, was Hobie Brown, Spider Punk. That that was such a fun character. I like the music. I love the animation. The animation is one of the best I've ever seen. That's all I'm gonna say. One of the best. It's one of the best animated films I've seen in a long time. And yeah, I don't think I have much else to say about Cross the Spider-Verse. It's the superhero movie of the year. It's the animated movie of the year, and it definitely belongs on my top 5 list. Number 3 is Past Lives. A24 just knocked it out of the park with this one. Last year, my number 1 spot actually went to an A24 film, which was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So it's kind of fitting that this one is on the list for this year. And it's basically just a story about what could have been. These two kids from Korea, they have an attraction towards each other, but then they grow apart as one goes to live in the United States and the other stays in Korea. They find each other on the web, and they start to, I guess, hit it off again, but then they drift apart again. And then when they meet up for the third and final time, the girl who moved to the United States is already married, and the the guy who lives in Korea comes to see her, and he still has feelings for her. So and you could still see that attraction between the two. Both all of them really have good chemistry. I guess you could say the husband and wife don't have the best chemistry, but that's kind of intentional. Um, so I love just this basic story. I love how it starts off too. It kind of feels like a detective or a story, not really a detective in the sense it's like, oh, what could have drawn the all these three people together kind of thing. So it's really the story that sold it for me. Tag Movie Reviews said it's one of his favorite films of the year. It's definitely one of my favorite films of the year. I didn't get a chance to review it, nor did I do a review for the film that's coming up next, but I will review that next film coming up. Past Lives, it's I won't say it's a tragic film or a sad. Maybe the ending is a little sad. I won't lie, but it's a touching film. It's a moving film, and I don't have much to say about it, unfortunately, because I don't have the strongest memory of it. Because I saw it pretty a while ago. It feels like, but I do remember that This was a great A24 film, and you should definitely check it out. So for number two, I have Poor Things, and oh my god, okay. So I had to get the director's name, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it. This is my first film by Yorgos Lanthimos. I hope I said that correctly. Probably didn't. I know that he directed The Lobster. I know he directed The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I think that's what it was called. And The Lobster already, when I saw the trailers for that, which was basically about a man who, if he can't find love, he's going to be turned into an animal. That was the basic premise from what I saw in the trailers. I thought that okay, that's a kind of a weird film, but could work. And this one, when I saw the trailers for this, I'm like, okay, it's like Frankenstein, but stranger. I didn't know how strange it was gonna be. I loved, I loved the cast like I do for almost all these films so far. Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo. This is probably my favorite Mark Ruffalo performance, even over like Zodiac and of course the Avengers and stuff like that. He's just a despicable slime ball. I love Willem Dafoe in this role as kind of the mad scientist character, and love the prosthetic pieces on him. Emma Stone nails it. She has to go for she's basically like a dead person who is reanimated, and she kind of goes from having the mind of a child, or maybe even a mind of an infant to a child, to being a mature young woman. And when I mean mature young woman, I mean someone who is real. I mean a really smart person, really smart. And there's a lot of quirky comedy. I guess you'd call this a black comedy. And there's a lot of sex. I just forewarned. I did not know that going in. I should have probably done some research. But and when I was like, oh, there's like a one or two sex scenes. No, there's a lot. And I love this visual, but harping, not harping on that. I love the visual style of this film. There's, as one of my friends who watched it with me pointed out, there's some matte paintings, and it kind of reminds me of German expressionism, like with Nosferatu, Caligari, and stuff like that. Um, it does have this kind of quirky sci-fi romance kind of look to it, or feel. There's the music. I want to look up who did the music. I'm doing this live, by the way. I'm gonna look up who did the music because the music was spectacular. It was oh god, Jerskin Fendrix. Again, I hope I said that correctly. Probably didn't. Um, like this, and between that and Oppenheimer, there are some pieces that I would love to actually own on my like iPhone or whatever. And what else did I like about this film? I love the costumes, the colors, the cinematography. There's a lot of moments where the camera moves as if you're watching a documentary. Like there's like it'll be tracking shots followed by zoom ins and stuff like that. And I'm looking at the poster right now. Again, the wardrobe on these characters is fantastic. Emma Stone, I she better get the best actress for this. I think she deserves. I think Emma Stone deserves the best actress for this film. And if you're gonna watch this film, don't watch it like with grandparents or adults or maybe even family, unless they're okay with. Again, I hate to sound like a prude, I really do, but I'm just warning you that it's not like a typical sex scene and that's it. No, it's a lot throughout the film. That's why I'm kind of just reiterating that point. But if you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, if you really like the idea of Frankenstein, if you like any of these actors, I really recommend Poor Things. And I between the film that I have at number one and the film that I have right here, Poor Things, it was very difficult for me to pick number one. And the number one, I'm going to give it to Godzilla minus one. Yeah, you all probably knew that was going to be there, and I will say it's not just because it's a Godzilla film that it's at number one. Well, I will admit my bias, and it's part of the reason. But there are other reasons, and I'll do my best to explain why. One was, well, first off, I will say it was very difficult to choose between this and Poor Things. This was the only film on this list that I saw in the theater multiple times. I saw it two times in the theaters. And while Poor Things is the better, overall, I would say Poor Things is probably the better film, but I enjoyed Godzilla minus one more. It felt, and I understand we're talking about comparing a film about a reanimated woman to a giant monster attacking Japan. Godzilla minus one felt more real. You felt the humanity and seriousness of the situation. You felt the death and destruction more. Well, I mean, there's not really death and destruction. Well, there is death in Poor Things, but I felt the the tragic impact that these characters were going through more in Godzilla minus one more that I really I didn't necessarily take Poor Things the situations going on seriously. There are some serious moments in Poor Things, but they kind of play it more towards black comedy. Godzilla minus one is a very serious film, which is weird again talking about Godzilla. Well, you could argue the 54 film, but anyway, this is the first and so far only Godzilla film where I gave a damn about the human characters and the human story. This was this was the only time where I actually was more interested in the human story than Godzilla himself. And not to say that Godzilla himself was not good. This is one of my favorite depictions of Godzilla now. But the human story is really captivating. If you let's take it this way: if you substituted Godzilla for like another air raid or by the U.S. or another or a serious event that happened to these characters, this would still make a fantastic movie, and you'd still be interested in all these characters. Um, I think the scientist character, I forgot his name, the Doc, as they called him, he was my favorite character. But I liked all the characters. I liked the characters on the boat. I liked the pilot who gets injured at the not the yeah the airplane repairman who gets injured at the beginning. I like the main character. I like the neighbor. I like the love interest. I like the damn kid. This was and it is. I had to think about this for a while because my two favorite Godzilla films up until this point have been 1954, the very first Godzilla film, which took itself very seriously too, or one that didn't take itself as seriously, which was GMK, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Attack. Man, that's a long name. Because I like the lunacy of that one. So I had two favorites: a frantic Godzilla film and a serious Godzilla. This one, I will say, is probably the better Godzilla film. It may not be the one I like to watch the most, because that probably still goes to GMK. But this, I think, is the best Godzilla film. And I love the themes. This really hammers in the nuclear war, or the not the nuclear weapons is bad kind of theme for Godzilla. It makes Godzilla feel like a legitimate creature. Like there's scenes where Godzilla is really scary, like when he's stalking them on the boat, when he shows up in Japan, when they're facing off against him for the final time. He feels like an animal. I love the music for this one. They use not just the original score. There are some good music pieces. There's intense violent scenes featuring Godzilla, and it's a really human story. And I know that phrase gets thrown around. Oh, it's a human story. Oh, it's a human story. But this in many more ways than one. This is a human story. It centers around the humans. It has a heart. It it's basically about a guy who thinks he doesn't deserve to live, and he's being told you do deserve to live. You have friends. You have a newfound family. You have people who care about you. Try to live, and that's like a theme that is brought up in the film. You have to live. You have to move on, and I thought that was actually moving in many ways. Some people were moved by Past Lives. Some people were moved by Poor Things. People were moved by all these other films. This one actually did move me, and I never thought I'd say that about a Godzilla film. That's what surprised me the most about this. And also, this film believe had a $15 million budget, where Hollywood films typical Hollywood blockbusters around the 100 million, 300 million, what's up, whatever. It's in the hundreds. So then the fact that this looked better, the CGI in this looks much better than a lot of the American blockbuster films. That is, I don't want to say embarrassing because that's going to sound like an insult to this film. But I would say this is an accomplishment towards this film. I hope this inspires Toho to release more foreign countries to release their films into the United States. Um, I mean that happens all the time, but I mean, like, let's just say if we get more Godzilla films, more films from Toho. Um, I don't know, just this I think was a big success for Hollywood this whole year. With people are talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer and stuff like that. I think Godzilla minus one. I think it's still in theaters. It's been like 3 months now, 2 3 months now. And I think it's still in theaters. I could be wrong. Because I just saw it 3 weeks ago on my birthday. So yeah, Godzilla minus one is my one pick, my favorite film of the year of 2023. Yep. And that, ladies and gents, is my top 5 list of favorite films of 2023. If you have a top 5 list or even top 10 list, I would love to hear what you guys thought were the best of this year. If you have any disagreements or agreements, leave them in the comments below. And if there's any film in particular you want me to get to this year, please let me know about that, and I'll do my best to get to that. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic new year. And the next review will probably be for Poor Things because I really want to talk about that some more. So, thanks. This is an O.M.M top 5 list. This is O.M.M signing out.